Hello, fellow backpackers. My name is Dan, and today I am going on a day hike. That's right, this is not a backpacking trip, this is a day hike. So my wife and I have been in Tennessee for the past week or so visiting my in-laws. So I'm in the Smoky Mountains on the Middle Prong Trail, heading up to the Panther Creek Trail. I've been wanting to do the Panther Creek Trail for some time because the last time I was backpacking here in January, I was supposed to do that trail, but there's a really big water crossing at the very beginning where it meets the Middle Prong Trail, and there had been a lot of rain, so I did not want to have to double back and add a lot of mileage to my day, so I didn't do it. But there has been virtually no rain here the last couple weeks, so that should not be a problem this time. So want to hear something funny? I went the wrong way. At the very beginning of the Middle Prong Trail, it splits into two sections, and I went on one section, but I got to a little sign that said it was a quiet walkway. And there are a lot of quote-unquote quiet walkways in the Smokies that are not part of the actual trail system, so I turned around and went the other way, which I'm on right now. And this seemed more like the Middle Prong Trail, so I kept going until I got to a dead end. Then I checked the GPS, and sure enough, I am not on the Middle Prong Trail. Back on the right trail. My wife Casey is actually going for a day hike with her dad right now, and I was planning on going with them. They're on Cove Mountain Trail, but at the last minute I decided, you know what, I think I need to go for a solo hike today. Just really felt like I needed some alone time on the trail. I'm sure you know the feeling. Still on the Middle Prong Trail, should be getting to Panther Creek pretty soon. Middle Prong is a pretty wide trail, gradual uphill, not too difficult, very similar to Jake's Creek Trail if you've done that one before, but not as steep. Well, I am at Panther Creek, and it is definitely low enough to cross. Not too high at all. And actually, I think I might try rock hopping it, because I am just so stubborn about taking off my shoes. And I don't feel like getting my feet too wet today. Just don't feel like it. So I might go that way, but right about there. I don't know if I can get across. Maybe up that way, but I don't know what's behind that big rock, so I don't know. We'll see. Well, I'm in the middle of Panther Creek, and I think I can continue rock hopping right over here. Show you that. Right here, and then I don't know. Right there, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do. Might have to do quite a big karate kick to keep from getting my shoes wet. I should probably just take off my shoes and stop being so stubborn, but I just don't want to. Those rocks are pretty slippery, but I made it. And my feet are still dry. Look at that. Although I guess I shouldn't celebrate too much. I gotta go back the way I came eventually. I know there are some other water crossings on this Panther Creek Trail, but that was supposed to be the biggest one. And if that was the biggest, trickiest water crossing, then I'm thinking that maybe these next few ones will probably just be a rock hop. Famous last words. Water crossing number 2. Definitely can rock hop this. Definitely. Water crossing number 3. So when I was at Panther Creek filming my rock hopping strategy, there was a hiker couple right next to me, and after I got done filming, I turned around and the guy was filming me and he put away his phone really quickly, which, as someone who films stuff for YouTube, I don't mind that someone was filming me, but it was kind of strange that he was filming me filming a creek. Well, this Panther Creek Trail is certainly more difficult than the Middle Prong Trail. Oh, man. Oh, it's not horribly difficult. It's not easy. I'd say it's right about average with Smoky Mountain difficult. Oh, if that makes sense. Well, I made it to Jake's Gap intersection with the Jake's Creek Trail, so I'm at the halfway point. I'm taking a little break. So I actually have a backpacking confession to make. So this is the third day hike that I have been since I've been down here in the Smokies. And that's not my confession. My confession is the fact that about a week ago, my wife Casey and I went on what was supposed to be a backpacking trip to Mount Camerer. And we did go. We went up to Mount Camerer, which is an awesome, really cool fire tower, and it has absolutely stunning, gorgeous views. Totally worth the climb. But it was a difficult, grueling hike. that first part of it, going up to Mount Camerer, is very steep, it's very difficult, very challenging. And it was a hot day. It was about 95. Not as hot in the mountains, but still quite hot. And we were sweating and sweating and sweating. I am still sweating my balls off. You're giving me an odd look.
That's very charming.
She's just jealous that she doesn't have balls to sweat off. So between the climb and the heat, we were just totally exhausted. And to make matters worse, the start of the day did not go so well. When I first got to the parking lot even, I was just not feeling great. It almost felt like low blood sugar or something. So I ate some food, drank a lot of water, and I started to feel better. Then about a quarter of the way through, Casey started feeling the same way. And yeah, just not a great start to our backpacking trip. So we finally made it down to the campsite that we were going to stay for the night. And we got there, we sat down, looked at each other, and said, "You want to go home?" So we booked it another 3.3 miles back to the car because we were just not feeling it. I don't know if it was just the difficult hike or the fact that it was still super hot and humid when we got to camp and we knew we weren't going to sleep all that well. We just did not want to stay, so we left. And I've been kicking myself ever since, because whenever something like that happens, any kind of a backpacking failure, whether I don't complete the trip that I wanted to do, or I just didn't have fun, or it was way too challenging and difficult and I was not able to do what I wanted to do physically, whenever something like that happens, I'm always kicking myself in the butt afterward. Although I will say that there were not one, but two silver linings to that decision. Number one, we were both able to break our one-day mileage record. It was about 16 to 16 and a half miles. My previous record was 14.2. Now, some of you are probably saying, 16 miles, come on. But I am just not a 20-plus mile a day type of a backpacker. Can't do it. Second silver lining, about 15-20 minutes into our hike back to the car from the campsite, we came across a day hiker who was lost. She was just going for a quick stroll in the woods. All she had with her was a bottle of water and her cell phone. And she had thought that the trail that she was on, the lower Mount Camerer trail, loop back around to the Cosby Campground parking lot, which technically it does loop back around, but it's 16 miles long, and it was about 7 p.m. Get off my lens. Yeah, it was about 7 p.m., so she was quite lost, didn't know where she was going, and we were able to show her where to go, and we actually hiked back out with her the rest of the way. Now, I'm sure in reality, she would hopefully have just eventually turned around and went back the way she came, or even if we did decide to stay the night, she probably would have come across our campsite eventually anyway and seen us, and we can point her in the right direction. But I like to think that we were there to rescue this poor woman from her certain demise. So I guess the moral of the story is, even when your backpacking trip does not go as planned, or even when you're calling it quits yourself and giving up, try to look at the bright side, because there are probably some positive things along the way that aren't so horrible. So stay positive. And I gotta tell you, my new favorite backpacking fuel are jelly beans. These things are perfect for just giving you some extra energy on the trail. I was eating these a lot during that Mount Cameron hike I was talking about, and you know, they didn't melt, surprisingly, despite it being super hot. They held up really well. They just give you a nice boost of energy, that glucose that you need. And they're candy, so they're a nice treat. They give you better spirits at the same time. And not to mention, look how pretty they are to film. That is beautiful. Heading back to the car now. Didn't take too long of a break. Kind of wanted to do a walking lunch instead. So I mentioned that my wife Casey and her dad are on their own little day hiking trip of their own, and my father-in-law also has an InReach Mini, just like me, and we're able to message each other back and forth with these. Not that we're trying to coordinate anything. We're in completely different sections of the park right now, but it's just kind of cool to be able to message each other and check in and see where we're at in our respective trips. Gotta tell you, this InReach Mini is just the gift that keeps on giving. So one of the reasons why I like to do these silly little YouTube videos of mine is hoping that maybe, just maybe, there are some people out there that can learn from my own mistakes. And just thinking about that Mount Cameron trip again that I mentioned, I'm not so sure that we necessarily made any mistakes. We simply listened to what our bodies and minds were telling us, and that was to get out of there and go home, as we were done. Now, maybe it would have been a mistake to stay. Maybe it was a mistake to leave. Who knows? I don't know, but I don't feel too bad about it anymore. Like I mentioned, there were some silver linings from that decision, so I kind of consider it a successful failure, to quote one of my favorite movies, Apollo 13. Back at Panther Creek, and hopefully I can cross this thing one more time without falling in. We'll see. Well, if I don't, 1 out of 2 ain't bad. I'm actually going to go a different way. So last time I went through there, and I said before that I didn't know what was on the other side of this boulder, but there is rocks aplenty. So this way looks a tad bit easier. So I'm going to do that this time. Do have to slide down this big boulder a little bit, but I still stand by my assessment that this way is a little bit easier, despite the intimidating rushing water. I made it back a second time, without getting my feet wet. Ha ha! Back on the Middle Prong Trail now, a couple miles to the car. And I just want to say one more thing about my whole little backpacking funk. And no, I don't mean smell. You know what I mean. I really just wanted to also say thank you to all the people that watch these videos, and especially to those that leave encouraging comments and insightful questions. Whenever I am in one of these little backpacking funks, it helps so much to see those comments, see those questions, and keep me motivated to do more of this stuff. So thank you all. Really, really appreciate it. Well, I am almost back to the car, so as always, stick around another minute for a few bloopers. And thank you so much for joining me on this much needed and very relaxing day hike of mine. And if you haven't already, consider clicking that subscribe button if you want to see more. And the next time you're out there on a trip of your own, have fun out there. So that should not be a, that should, where did I leave off? What trail am I on? Those little, pardon,